The history of Rccg House of Prayer. Rccg House of Prayer is a parish and a Redeemed Christian Church of God worldwide. In 2011, driving on Highway 100 at about 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., the pastor, Pastor Lucio Godaramola, heard God speak, and he said, "My house shall be called a house of prayer." Being in a residential area, he looked around and no one could have spoken. He kept this in mind. After receiving this word, he stayed committed to serving at the Rccg Strong Tower, Minneapolis, where he had served for 11 years with no plans of being a pastor. June 1st, 2014, he got posted to Rccg Christ Court, St. Cloud. This was quite a distance from his home. He had to assist the pastor as an assistant pastor. He initially declined this, but he was mandated to. His wife, Pastor Mrs. Abimbola Daramola, also persuaded him to answer the calling of God. After serving in St. Cloud for a while, he was posted to Rccg Restoration Chapel, St. Paul. He served here for a while, then later got posted to Oakley at Wisconsin. This was 3 hours from his home, and he and his family had to drive 3 hours every Sunday to be in church. He was called into ministry even though this was not his choice. There was a mandate upon his life. After serving at Wisconsin, he was posted back to Rccg Restoration Chapel, St. Paul. He served there for 2 years. In 2016, he was called to be a pastor and to plant a new church. Shakopee was picked as the location of the church. Trying to find a name for the church, the Holy Spirit reminded him of that incident. "My house shall be called a house of prayer," as seen in Isaiah 57 verse 6. Although he tried to call the prayer house, the Holy Spirit was very clear, and his wife also brought it to his remembrance. So the name of the church was House of Prayer, as chosen by God. Brother James Rooney, who had moved with them from Rccg Restoration House, St. Paul, started the church with them. The church started with 4 adults and 3 children. These 4 adults were the pastor, Pastor Lucio Godaramola, his wife, Pastor Mrs. Abimbola Daramola, Grandma Daramola, and Brother James Rooney. And the children were the children, Joshua, Esther, and Fiyin Daramola. The first service ever was held February 12, 2017, at the Holiday Inn Shakopee. The first members were Minister Fumbi Lasisi and Grandma Lasisi. The inauguration service was held March 19, 2017. The beginning things were difficult. It was a struggle starting the church. Raising funds were almost impossible. They decided to get an American Express credit card to keep the church running. It was challenging and difficult, but God was always their help. Evening service started shortly with Bible study on Wednesday and vigils on Friday. The first choir was Pastor Mrs. Daramola, and sometimes they had to use YouTube as an instrument of worship. It even got more challenging because they had to move their instruments back and forth at the beginning and ending of every service. This was both energy consuming and time consuming. However, people began to show up. God proved his faithfulness, and the church began to grow. The first anniversary was held February 2018. Even though things got difficult, glory was their defense. The church outgrew the Holiday Inn, which was the first location, and they had to find a new location. We found this location in 2019. We believe God, who has taken us from smaller places, is taking us to even greater places. We do not despise the days of small beginnings. Now we are a growing church. We have pastors, ministers, board of trustees, workers, departments, children, elders, and even an outreach team amongst us. Looking forward to the future, we are thrilled about what God is doing and what He is going to do. It has been a privilege to serve you. The mission of the Rccg House of Prayer still remains, raising ordinary people to become extraordinary people. Although God has been our help, we want you to know that we could have not done this without you. Thank you for being a part of our testimonies. We love you.
That I love to dwell, is the presence of my Father.